Hey, what's going on, guys? The Horror Man back ranking all 10 movies in the Saw franchise. The Saw franchise is one of my favorite horror franchises, and I'm sure Franchise Frenzy will reflect that. There are currently 10 films in the series, with the 11th movie due out next year. In this video, I'll be ranking the 10 that currently exist, from my least favorite to favorite. Like with all of my other rankings, I make my decisions based on criteria such as nostalgia, rewatchability, and overall enjoyment. Sometimes my personal favorites are not necessarily the objectively best movies in a franchise. Other times, those two things go hand in hand. The point to remember is this. This is my personal opinion, and you don't have to agree or even understand. Jason will also be ranking the Saw movies today, so please be sure to check out his video to see how his ranking compares to mine. Please beware, there will be spoilers throughout this video, so if you haven't seen all of the Saw movies, you might want to do that first. And because physical media matters, I'll be showing different formats: VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, 4K, and even a screener. Right here is the Saw Trilogy box set, containing Saw Uncut, Saw 2 Special Edition, and Saw 3 Director's Cut. This is a 6-disc set. So, here we go. This is Saw ranked. In last place, or 10th place, is Jigsaw. Jigsaw is the 8th film in the Saw franchise, and I go back and forth with my last place movie. I actually love every film in this series, so even though something has to be last place, I definitely don't dislike it one bit. I go back and forth with it though, because it typically comes down to my mood. There are times I may actually prefer Jigsaw to what I have in the 9th spot. But as of right now, I'd say this is my least favorite. For me, it's one of the most disconnected films from the rest of the franchise. But that's not the only reason it's in last. I'm not a big fan of most of the characters in this one, and the movie has a different look. The twist is fantastic, especially the first time you watch it. Although there are a lot more things in Jigsaw that don't quite add up. Regardless, I do still love it, even though I have it in last place. Next up, at number 9, I have Saw the Final Chapter, or Saw 3D, which is the 7th movie in the franchise. Like I said, at times I do have this one in last place instead of Jigsaw. But for this video, I moved it up a spot. There is a lot I love about it, and there are things I don't like about it. For one thing, the opening with Dr. Gordon should have been cut. His inclusion in this film should have been left as a surprise for later on in the movie. My issue with the ending of Saw the Final Chapter also involves Dr. Gordon. I know a lot of people love the twist of him being a Jigsaw apprentice, but for me, it feels way too much like fan service. And I don't care what anyone says. Hoffman is surviving in that bathroom. He will get out. By the way, for those of you who claim Hoffman's traps are inescapable and cite examples from this movie, keep in mind, most of the traps in this film were actually set by Dr. Gordon. So yeah, that apprentice you love so much, he's the one who sets the inescapable traps. Saw the Final Chapter is at number 9 in my ranking. This may come as a surprise, but it is what it is, and what it is my ranking. The original Saw is at number 8. This, as you can see, is my VHS edition of the film, and while I do love it, and it still features one of the greatest twists in horror history, there are things that just don't hold up with the rest of the franchise. I know they were still establishing things and they weren't really planning on it becoming a huge franchise, but still. For example, John Kramer's whole thing is he doesn't kill, yet he clearly kills in Saw, and attempts to kill a second time. Detective Singh's death was plain murder, and John Kramer literally slashes Detective Tapp's throat. Of course, without this movie, we wouldn't have the rest of them, so it's obviously significant. And yes, it does have that phenomenal twist ending. To this day, whenever I watch John Kramer stand up from that floor, I get chills. The original Saw comes in at number 8 in my ranking. At number 7, I have the first sequel to it, Saw 2. This here, as you can see, is a full-length screening copy on DVD. This is one of those screeners that comes in the thin cardboard case. Saw and Saw 2, like Jigsaw and Saw the Final Chapter, jump back and forth in my ranking. Sometimes I have the original Saw above this one, and other times I have Saw 2 here, like now. This is currently, I believe, my son's favorite Saw movie. The issue I've always had with it is, again, the characters not being likable enough. I understand they're being tested and in traps for a reason, but I just don't care about them as much as I do other characters in the franchise. Sometimes I watch Saw 2 and think, yeah, this is one of my least favorites. Other times I watch it and think, wow, this should be higher in my ranking. Well, right now, it's number 7. This time around, I have Saw 3 at number 6. This is another one that is often higher, but I dropped it down, I believe, one spot since the last time I ranked these movies. This here, as you can see, is my 2-disc director's cut on DVD. Of the 3 cuts of Saw 3, however, I think I prefer the unrated version most. Or maybe the theatrical cut. I don't know. I go back and forth with that as well. It's tough when I'm ranking a franchise I love so much. Saw 3 is arguably the most important movie in the franchise, with the exception of the original, of course. The 2 biggest deaths of the series occur in this same movie, just minutes apart. First, Amanda, and then, of course, John Kramer. Then again, many of the same distinctions one can give this film can also be given to the next on my list. And that is Saw 4 at number 5. Saw 4 continues to rise in my ranking. In the past, it was much closer to the bottom. This is probably the Saw film I like more and more every time I watch it. Not only that, but this is the one that establishes my favorite character in the entire franchise, Mark Hoffman. His first appearance was in Saw 3, yes, but that was a brief appearance. Saw 4, as we all know, is when he takes over as Jigsaw. This one also introduces us to Agent Strom, another one of my favorite characters in the series. I actually really like Riggs' game, and again, for anyone who says Hoffman's traps are inescapable, this may have been the easiest game of all. All Rigg had to do was nothing. Hoffman even told him to stay home with his wife, enjoy his time off. And lastly, I love that Saw 4 takes place at the same time as Saw 3. What a twist. Saw 6 is up next in my ranking at number 4. And this one contains some of my favorite traps. Funny thing is, I could say that about most of these movies. I love the whole insurance angle though. It's a very satisfying storyline. Saw 6 features the iconic carousel trap. This movie also features one of the greatest lines in the franchise, the iconic, "Right now, you're feeling helpless." That entire sequence is amazing. But what's even more amazing is the ending. And it's my favorite ending in the franchise. Hoffman escaping the reverse bear trap. Incredible. And then we also get a really cool mid-credit scene, only in the director's cut. Saw 6 could easily be in first place. It's worthy of being my favorite Saw movie, which goes to show you how strong this franchise is, because as of right now, it's only number 4. My number 3, I'm sure, will be a big surprise for a lot of people, and that is Spiral. This here is my 4K Blu-ray combo pack, and I love the green background. What can I say? I know a lot of people, most people in fact, have this ranked dead last, but I absolutely love it. I think Chris Rock did a great job. Again, this movie features some of my favorite traps, and I love the twist. Spiral also features what is maybe my favorite rendition of the classic Saw theme, Zep 9. I get chills when John Kramer rises at the end of the original Saw. I get chills when Hoffman escapes the reverse bear trap in Saw 6. And I get chills at the end of Spiral when Zep 9 hits. Spiral, in my opinion, deserves more love. And that's why Jason and I gave it a positive spin a few months back. But again, you don't have to agree. This is just my personal ranking. And Spiral is number 3. In second place, and I will say it's very close, I have Saw 5. This is another entry in the Saw franchise that doesn't get as much praise as it deserves. The whole movie is one big game of cat and mouse between two of my favorite characters, Hoffman and Strom. Strom escaping the trap early in the film is epic, and their cat and mouse game concludes with yet another ending that gives me the chills. The glass box. I also love the Fatal 5 trial throughout the film. Because of all of that and more, Saw 5 is easily one of the most rewatchable for me. Still, it's only number 2 in this extremely strong franchise. Because my number 1 favorite movie in the Saw franchise is Saw X. It's the 10th and most recent film in the series. And in my opinion, it's not just my favorite, but I also think it might be the objectively best movie. Saw X undoubtedly has the most heart. This is an emotional Saw film. We get to see a different side to John Kramer. And Tobin Bell gives his best performance ever. Again, the traps are some of my favorites, maybe my favorites overall in the franchise. The ending with the bloodbath is amazing. It's crazy how a scene can be so bloody and so heartfelt at the same time. And then the mid-credit scene with, you know it, the Hoffmanator. Saw X blew me away the first time I watched it, and it continues to blow me away on every rewatch. I absolutely love this series, and I absolutely love this film. Saw X is my number 1 favorite movie in the Saw franchise. So there you have it, guys, my ranking of all 10 movies in the Saw franchise. What do you think? How would you rank these films? Comment below and let me know. And don't forget to check out Jason's video to see how he has Saw ranked. Which franchise will we rank next? Check back soon to find out. Until then, remember, physical media matters. Thanks for watching, guys. Hit that thumbs up and be kind. Subscribe.